To the full view, I'm Bongani Bingwa. Of course, we've been taking your reactions to all the issues we've been raising on the show this evening. We're taking your tweets as well as your voice notes. And it is a Thursday, which means we bring you on the record. In this hour, we'll be talking to the ANC's elections head, Fikile Mbalula, who has said that in the past, the party took a while before dealing with corruption, but that now they're determined to act decisively against those who've been implicated in wrongdoing. This was, of course, at the manifesto launch today. We'll be putting him in the hot seat to find out exactly what the ANC's readiness is for 2019. And of course, it brings us to tonight's question of the day. And of course, we're asking the question, has the Freedom Charter failed to address the challenges South Africans face today? Let's have a listen at some of your voice notes and we'll look at your tweets.
Hi, it's Tommy here. My theory is that the Freedom Charter, honestly, it needs to be scrapped. We need a new one. We need, as young people now, we need to start our own things. We can't always be dependent on these things, these thoughts of the old men of the past. We need our new ones. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I think the Freedom Charter has failed the people of South Africa, particularly the blacks, because up until now, from 1994, black people, especially the blacks, are still suffering, are still living in the poverty, yet they got the government that they voted for, which is the ANC. The ANC leaders are scared to take everything from the whites because they are afraid that they will get sanctions. So as a result, they rather pay the grant to the people so that they bluff them that everything is going well. Meanwhile, black people are still suffering.
And of course, as the fallout continues over the VBS scandal, the leader of the EFF, Julius Malema, has tweeted, just finished the political induction of the EFF South Africa in the Northwest Province, now en route to see the man of the moment, my Deputy President, Commissar Floyd Shivambu, and our spokesperson, Commissar Mbuyiseni Ndlozi, remain vigilant and focused, fighters. The enemy is attacking. There's a lot of subtext in that, calling him his Deputy President, Commissar Floyd Shivambu. It does appear that at least on the face of that tweet, the EFF are holding the line, remaining united. We'll see, of course, how the story develops further. But Julius Malema there asking his followers to remain vigilant and saying the enemy is attacking. Send us your comments, hashtag full view on Twitter. We do welcome your 30-second voice notes. There's the number on your screen, 066 479 8056. And remember, of course, you can watch any of our interviews or features. You can do that at sabcnews.com. You'll find us on Facebook. And as I say, we are on Twitter. On the record, it means it's time for us to put somebody in the hot seat, or at least have a discussion about pertinent issues. Now, the ANC says it acknowledges that it is increasingly being seen as complicit in corruption and soft on leaders who are implicated in it. The party's head of elections, Fikile Mbalula, says that is about to change. He says the party will now deal with all leaders fingered in wrongdoing in the same way it dealt with Nhlanhla Nene, the former finance minister, who fell on his sword this week after accusations emerged he may have lied about his relationship with the infamous Gupta family. Well, Fikile Mbalula is in the studio for this week's On the Record discussion. So we're here to test what he means about this new ANC. Good evening and thank you for coming in. I mean, today, of course, was the launch of your campaign as far as the new manifesto ahead of next year's elections. You are, in your own words, are about to traverse the country seeking input from interested South Africans.
We launched at Beachwood, where we had all stakeholders, and today we're unveiling the roadmap towards the manifesto launch. And completion of our manifesto. Starting this week in the 4 provinces, we're going down to town halls, talking to our people about the process of the People's Manifesto, as we have coined from the launch, because the ANC is about connecting with the people and at the same time earn the trust and respect of the people in the engagement of the formulation of our manifesto. So it's not the launch, it is the roadmap.
Yes, indeed. I mean, you've said that you obviously want to go hear what the people have to say. You've talked about giving effect to the NASREC resolutions, but also being responsive to what your voters want to tell you.
Yes, that's what is important, Bongani, because we can draft the manifesto on our desktop, and we think that we know what the people want. And with our experience in 24 years, I think it has always told us the voice of the people is important at all times.
The call for the ANC has been for unity. It's your message, but I mean, it's hardly a secret that yours has been a factionalized party. We're seeing action from Limpopo to the Eastern Cape to Mpumalanga. Indeed, even at national level, yours is a house divided, is it not?
We have said that, yes, we will work on our unity. Most importantly, our president made it very clear that we will enforce unity in our party because we've got no choice. This is what our people are telling us. This is what they want from us. They don't want this divided house of the African National Congress. It may serve individuals, but the center must hold. We will enforce and work for unity in our organization. And steps have been put to effect to ensure that we realize this unity. Our officials have gone to the Bosbarat. They will come back and report to us. We went to the NEC. We examined the issues and our own challenges that we've got. And we're working on that. And we take steps, and we'll enforce that those who go astray are brought to book.
Of course, there's still also the issue of party members taking you to court, even in terms of what we heard today, even going back to NASREC and questioning the top six. I mean, that kind of thing is still happening, even though you took a firm line at the end of last year about members who will take the party to court.
You see, the ANC is a big party, and we can be Stalinist and stamp our authority. We have tolerated dissent, to the point where we will go about this and people who are taking us to court, who are members of the organization, and nothing happens to them. It's a matter that must be examined in the context of unity enforcement in the party, because the people who take the party to court are well-known members of the organization, even some when things are not exhausted, and they go simply to court because they know nothing will happen to them. But we have sort of shown the face of the movement that says it's too difficult to organize one, and we are not quick to dismiss, even if we can see. We're not quick. And in this particular instance, in the enforcement of this unity, it will be important to examine the role players in terms of even those who take the organization to court.
Now, today you spoke about essentially cleaning up house in terms of how ANC leaders are perceived. And I thought perhaps it's important for us to rewind to this moment. And can you explain what cleaning house might mean in the context of this clip? Let's have a look.
All of us there in the NEC have our smallanyana skeletons, and we don't want to take out all skeletons out, because there will be, or hell will break loose.
I mean, Minister Dlamini said it. She's, of course, the president of the Women's League. What does cleaning up mean in the context of the smallanyana skeletons that she spoke about?
Well, that statement is the statement made by the president of the Women's League, and she's better placed at that moment what she meant by that. From where I stand and what we understand from our collective marching on is that we need to be decisive. Our people are calling for action in our own encounter and engagement in these people, consultative manifesto processes in the 9 provinces. What comes out clear out of that is that they abhor divisions. They don't like corruption. Not that we don't act, but they think we take time in acting. And in this particular instance, we need to be decisive in implementing Congress resolutions that are about radical economic transformation, and that is the call. We need to focus on men and women in terms of the program of transformation. So we are clear about what needs to be done in listening to what comes out from the exchange with the people on the ground.
Sure, you said today, for example, that this perception that ANC leaders are corrupt is something that needs to be dealt with. And there's an admission there from the Women's League president saying they're Smolanyana skeletons. I mean, for example, the thing you mentioned today about Nhlanhla Nene, I mean, you're surely not taking credit for his resignation when many would say he should have been fired.
You will be fired if you don't live up to your conscience, one, and secondly, if you don't take steps. There is no need to fire a person who says, let me step aside. And even though I may believe that I'm right, I don't want to argue the position I occupy is very sensitive. I don't want to hold the country at ransom. I think there is honor in that, in terms of an individual taking a decision to step aside, and not even in word, in action, and say, here is my resignation.
The problem with that is it leaves a lot of unanswered questions. I mean, we still don't know the substance of the meetings he had with the Guptas. Nobody's explained to us why it is that he wasn't forthcoming with the truth. And this was, of course, at a time when his own treasury officials were investigating them. So he knew quite well what was being said about them, held meetings with them in private, and lied about it. I mean, where's the honor in that?
The point is that he could have stayed on and argue with the public back and forth. There is nothing in the context of the Zondo Commission that says if there are defects in his presentation and there are still follow-ups that need to be made and gaps in what he has presented, that he cannot be called. He can be called anytime, but not in the position of treasury at the helm. He has not gone into hiding. The man is around the country. And the commission is out there. If you don't want to go, if you are invited, you can be summoned. The commission is not a court. It's not a kangaroo court. Nhlanhla Nene himself can still go back, or those who are making accusations that he has not done full disclosure, which he has admitted that he might have not.
In his own letter. Might well
yes, but in his own apology said that he did not actually quantify the number of meetings and all of that. That is an error of judgment on his part. That is admission.
But it's not just about the number of meetings, it's what was said. Still to this day,
yes, he must.
South African public doesn't know.
Yes, he must account in relation to that. And if the need arises, he can go back to the commission. Bonga, the issue of the commission is open. Anybody can go to the commission, make a submission. The issue of running parallel processes to the commission when you've got the right to table before the judge,
sure,
and even cross-examine people if it is permissible, that can always be done.
With respect, I'm not just talking about the commission. You were the one who brought this issue today by saying the ANC is going to act decisively with leaders who are implicated in wrongdoing. I mean, we've got cabinet ministers who we've been told by the courts have lied. What decisive action have you taken there?
The decisive action that need to be taken in relation to individuals, it is a matter of looking at those particular matters holistically and take steps in terms of those cabinet ministers. People are serving in cabinet at the behest of the president and the African National Congress. In this particular instance, the integrity of the ANC, if it is affected by those ministers, the ANC will act.
When? You said today that the ANC is being increasingly seen as soft on leaders who are fingered in wrongdoing. The courts have told us at least 2 members of cabinet have lied. What action, if this is the new ANC going into the election next year, this is the decisive ANC,
can I explain,
what action
can
are you
I
taking?
explain to you, the ANC have put checks and balances in place that include appointing men and women to oversee integrity in the party.
So unless they voluntarily leave, you're not going to do anything.
They don't have to volunteer. If ever they feel so, they can, like Nhlanhla Nene did when nothing.
And if they don't, you don't do anything about it.
The Integrity Commission will examine their deeds and actually make recommendations about the course of action. So you either take an individual action or otherwise you act. The new dawn we're talking about is that the party has got firm checks and balances to deal with individuals in relation to matters of integrity. The issues you are raised keep on coming up, but we keep telling you time and again that those matters will form part and parcel of the agenda of integrity. And
Because
integrity
it's been
will
months. I mean, you keep saying exactly as you say. You keep telling us the same thing, but nothing seems
we
to
would have
happen.
loved the Integrity Commission to meet daily, weekly. These matters are happening, quite fast, and there's a whole lot of other issues that they consider. But I can tell you
All
that
the time, then new things come up. I mean, let's talk about VBS, for example. Once again, ANC leaders in Limpopo there are quite heavily implicated.
2 members of the ANC in terms of Limpopo are implicated, and the structures of the party hastily moved to deal with the issue.
What have they done?
They've activated the structures of integrity in the party to consider the matters and also make recommendations to the leadership of the province to take further steps, which, based on those, action will be taken.
You are somebody, obviously, who, as a politician, cares deeply about this country. I have no doubt about that. You're going to be going to voters next year saying, we have a program, this is our manifesto. When you find out that, for example, that municipality, the Vembe municipality, and Florence Radzelani, 300 million rand basically disappeared into VBS. We've seen ladies, old ladies, standing in queues, frustrated, needing answers, even to this day, not quite sure what the future may hold. I mean, surely on some level, that must bother you.
It bothers us, but over and above that, we support the action of South African Reserve Bank. Everybody was populist and say that don't act on this bank because it's a black bank. They acted. Curatorship, remember, we have arrived where we are today, not because something was not done.
Right, I'm going to interrupt you. We've got a slight technical problem we need to deal with. We'll come back in a moment because I do want some clarity on what's happened in Limpopo. Our guest, of course, is the ANC's head of elections, Fikile Mbalula. A new ANC, he promises. What will it look like? Stay with us.